Maniacs, welcome back to the channel. Your local bedhead here. I figured we would go ahead and react to some Mythos Paranormal because it's been a while since I've sat down and watched the guy, and I genuinely believe that he's one of my personal favorites. I genuinely think the guy makes a lot of great points. He has a lot of good moments, and he certainly has a lot of logical explanations to a lot of things that happen in the paranormal community that sometimes we are always thinking, is that really legitimately how it works, or is that really what's happening here? And I think he does great. So I thought we would go ahead and react to several of his videos in one go, which is him explaining paranormal equipment and debunking paranormal equipment that a lot of paranormal investigators today, especially on YouTube, use, which I always I'm not fond of. Like the flashlight method, which is what we're going to be starting with, is the flashlight method, which I just believe is just a load of a crock of shit. I just don't buy it. I think it's silly. The phone method is another one, and he has several in here that I'm just not sure or aware of if and or how can they be debunked. So we're going to find out, of course, in this video. And if you like this type of content, want to see more content like this, always be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and please go support Mythos Paranormal, because I genuinely believe the guy is out there doing a lot of great work. I think it's important to bring this stuff to the light, especially to people who always believe in everything they see. And as someone who used to be one of those people, I think it's important. So let's go ahead and watch it, and I'll give you guys my thoughts, of course, during and after the video.
How's it going? It is Mythos, and if you've looked into this before, you would already know it's just a trick, because there's been debunking videos on these things on YouTube for years now. But if you haven't seen anything about it and you keep watching people on the paranormal investigations and you think, wow, those torches and that flashlight technique are amazing, let me just show you what's going on here, and that this is all a trick. Also, now that we're going to figure out how this works, we could possibly figure out if people are knowingly faking.
Sorry, Mythos, I don't mean to pause you, but I think, quickly going over what I know about the flashlight method, I think, for the most part, if you leave these things on, all right, they're barely kind of turned to the point where it's on the brink of turning on and keeping off, right? So that's the point of the whole method, is to kind of let the spirits have enough, like, they make it easy for the spirits to pretty much, or supposedly make it easy for the spirits to kind of turn it, slightly to turn it off and on to answer some questions. But most of the time when you see these methods actually done, sometimes it's on cue, sometimes it's not. Most of the time, I've noticed it's not. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for it to respond, and then by that point, they already ask a different question, and then the response happens, and it makes no sense at that point. So I, again, never believed it for that reason alone. I just think it's just one of those things to where if you ask so many questions all at once and then wait for that thing just to kind of turn off and on, you can always just kind of make it work for what you need. And for me, that's just not good enough. That, to me, it's just it's a method I certainly won't use in my paranormal investigations. Become a channel member. The more channel members we get, chances of our paranormal investigations being funded are at a big all-time high. So yeah, definitely become a channel member, support the videos, help me get there. And hopefully we can do paranormal investigation someday. I will not be using flashlights. I will not be using the Spirit Talker app. I won't be using a lot of things that bigger channels use. I want to go at it with my own spin, my own take. So if you're curious about that, then definitely make sure you support the video, support the channel. And if you want to go even farther, go support my gaming channel, Jake Hart's Arts Gaming. I don't know why I wanted to drop that. I apologize, Mythos. I just decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and continue.
Or they're just kind of mistaken when they're using them. So let's check this out.
All right, man.
Okay, so there's some videos out there which go into a lot of detail, very technical, and I'm just going to try and simple it down a bit because I don't want it to go on for too long.
Well, I appreciate that. As somebody who likes the simple explanations, thank you.
Basically, what is going on is people put the torch onto a very specific point when turning it on. It's right at the spot where a slight tap on the torch can turn it on and off. But this is where the problems start, because you have now made the device you're going to use defective. So straight away you shouldn't trust it. If the torch was fully twisted and then turned on and off, I might be like, whoa. Oh.
Yeah, or like if there was no batteries in it and it was turning off and on. Insanity. But yeah, no, the fact of the matter is, yeah, it's too easy to mess with. It's too easy to tamper with. I mean, anything can make this thing go off. Just by it just sitting there, it will blink by itself. So you just can't trust that. It's just not a good method. And for a lot of these paranormal investigators to make it something it's just not, in my opinion, is just silly. Especially when their reactions are always freaking out and like jumping everywhere and be like, "Oh my God, did you see that thing? It just lit up. Holy shit, everybody, we have a ghost in our presence." No, it's just the flashlight being a flashlight. doesn't mean it's paranormal. And most of the time, I would even go as far as saying 99.9% of the time, I just don't believe it's paranormal.
Okay, but what is going on inside the torch is there is little metal parts that touch and complete the circuit to turn the light on. When you twist it off, it opens up those little metal parts and turns the torch off. When the torch is on, over time, it's going to get warm, right? Just from being on and being used. So when you've put it right on the edge of being on and off, those two little metal pieces are just slightly touching. Enough where the metal will still warm up from being in contact. When the metal does warm up, it expands and then touches more, turning the torch on. But those two pieces are still not properly touching, so they will cool down. Then when they cool down, the metal shrinks, turning the torch off. Over time, it just repeats that cycle over and over again. I did this for hours the other day. I just left them all day, and it just went and went and went on and off and on and off. It gets warm, turns on, cools down, opens up, turns off. Repeat and repeat. The only difference is, say, if you get one straight out of the box or your investigation bag and then do it, the gaps between turning off and on will be long. If you've already warmed up your torch a bit by having it in your pocket or holding it in your hands for a few minutes, you kind of give it a head start, and because it's already warm when you...
And that would explain the moments when, like, immediately it just went off. Immediately, guys, right on cue. As soon as we set it down, it goes off. That probably explains why it does that and why they have that reaction. And Sam's hand here for a good while.
Start doing it, the gaps between going on and off will be much quicker. I figured out that that's kind of the general rule, but there were times when it would just go on and off very fast, so it's not a set rule, it can just depend. Okay, so that explanation out of the way, when we see investigators out there using these, we rarely see a sit-down conversation with the flashlights. It's always edited and chopped up, obviously for a better video.
Yep, obviously, yeah, he's right about that. Like, they don't want to just let you sit there and watch a flashlight go off and on, right? When there's especially giant pauses in between. Yeah, you're right. People would click off. They'd get bored. Of course they would. But also, it is convenient for people to do that because then they can just cut out the parts where it makes no sense, right? And they will just make it make sense with whatever question they asked. You get what I'm saying? So, like, if I were to ask a ghost, like, is there anybody here in the room with us? And we're sitting there for probably about 2 to 3 minutes just waiting for that flashlight to go off. And let's say it flickers a little bit, but it doesn't really go on all the way. You can just cut that part out, right? And just go to the next part where the flashlight turns on and being like, oh, my God. Right? Like, that can happen, for sure. I mean, it's just a possibility. Of course, I'm not saying any investigators do that, for sure. You know, I can't really prove it. But when you see a lot of the chopped up editing between the sections where they use the flashlights, it is kind of interesting because you're thinking, like, what did they all cut out? Right? They could have cut out long pauses, but they also could have cut out things that maybe made no sense. So when something did happen that did make sense, they would just go straight to that moment. Right? I mean, that's very possible.
And just for time. But in those cuts in the video, you can hide a lot.
Yes, you can.
Ask, turn the flashlight on if you're here. Over and over until it does. And then clip out the little...
Yep. Is there anybody here? Is there anybody here? Is there anybody here? Is there anybody... Oh! Right on cue! Right?
Bit when you ask and then it does turn on. But sometimes we have seen pretty long sit-down conversations, so what happens with those? Well, they might ask a question, turn it on if you're a male, and it doesn't turn on. So then they'll ask, turn it on if you're a female, and then it'll turn on.
Yeah.
All that happened was they asked a certain question at the right time between gaps of it turning on and off. Now I know this, and now you know it. When you watch the videos, pay attention to the gaps in between the light turning on and off. There are a lot of misses where the people will just ignore what's happened because it didn't align with their question.
You're right, 100%. I've noticed this throughout the years I've been watching investigations. You'll start noticing small things like that. And of course, at first, I wasn't saying too much of it. I might have, actually. I might have called it out once or twice, you know. But Yeah, it's crazy. They'll make it work for whatever they need, right? So like if they ask a question and they'll be like, okay, it's not a male, so are you a female? And then it goes off because of that gap. Yeah, that you're letting it kind of heat up, and then it heats up, and then it turns on, and then you make it work for what you need. Yeah, it's just there's so many errors with the flashlight to where it got to the point where I just think it's silly. It's just a silly thing to use, in my personal opinion. That's my opinion on it. I won't use them.
The torch might have just turned on when no one asked a question, but the hits they get when it seems to align up with what they ask, they absolutely lose their minds.
There's spirit or energy.
Ooh.
Okay. Is the spirit of John Smith or Nils von Schultz here with us?
Also notice we are fast forwarding, so it's quite a long gap between lights turning off and on.
Is the spirit of Mariette here with us?
Huh.
Guys, I feel like you should ask if
The person's name?
Yeah, and then they kind of switch it up, saying maybe we should ask something else. Maybe we should ask, and then when it goes off, they start freaking out over it. Yeah, like you have to make it work. Why can't we just sit down and say, okay, the flashlights are not a good method. They're just not working. And when they do turn off and on, it can be explained by logical explanation. So it's not a good bit of equipment to use.
Is there a spirit named Sally?
I can't believe that. I actually can't believe that.
They get so hyped about their hits, they forget about all the misses and can go away from that thinking they've had an intelligent conversation, when in reality it was 15 misses and only 6 hits. So, a lot of people use these, but the main culprits, I think we'd all agree, are Sam and Colby. Yeah! Now you might think,
no, you're right.
If they are doing this, they are fake. And guys, I have gone through so many videos to find the origin point of this freaking technique, when they weren't using them and when they started using them. And I've found the exact moment where they found out about this technique. It was from this dude here when they were at the Shanley Hotel 2 years ago.
What's up? My name is Scott. I go by Scotty, the New Jersey Medium.
Scotty, the New Jersey Medium, it's all your fault, buddy. You showed these guys what to do. So all I'm saying is, if Sam and Colby haven't looked this up about, debunking this technique, and this guy told them this is what you do to talk to spirits, they're going to just kind of believe this is what you do to talk to spirits. So you can't really blame them and say it's their fault. But I started to re-watch their videos after that point of where they found this out, and I started to pay attention about the times where they're doing the technique. There are some times where Sam has hold of them for quite a while, maybe while he's just getting set up or he's telling someone how they work. And
He has hold of them here for nearly 2 minutes before setting them up with video cuts, so could be longer. Interesting. So like he might be self-aware that holding them might be heating them up. Interesting.
like I said, holding them for that long is going to warm them up in your hands and give you a head start to make the gaps turn on faster than it usually would, which would make for a better video, wouldn't it? So I was thinking,
you're right.
This is looking fishy. And also, there are a lot of times where the start of the method is cut out, so you can't see what's going on. Did they have hold of them, or did they just get them out and place them down? But to be fair enough, you're going to want to cut out boring parts like that just to get on with the video. Are they knowingly faking? I'm not too sure. But now I know how these work, I cannot watch people do it. A great, or should I say a terrible example of this is in Sam and Colby's latest video. They're talking to an apparent spirit of an alcoholic and they're just getting pissed right there in front of him and asking if he wants to join them. Turn the flashlight on if you want to shop with us and stuff like that. Come on, guys. If that dude was really an alcoholic, I don't really know if that's what you should kind of be acting like on the investigation. Jesus. But guys, I'm going to insert clips from that here. Pay attention to the gaps in between turning off and on. Pay attention to their questions. Pay attention to the misses and hits they get. And also pay attention to the cuts in the video. Not just this clip though. With all of the flashlight techniques on investigations, pay attention to those things.
This is our first piece of ghost equipment. They're just normal flashlights. You can buy them at Home Depot. And the spirits, they'll be able to tap it, make the kinetic energy to twist it a little bit on, a little bit off.
Okay.
We'll turn it on and off.
That sounds fun.
Secondly, we have a REM pod. It emits a little electromagnetic field, and if something were to go next to it, it will go off.
Also, if that goes off, we've never seen that happen before, so you gotta run.
Yeah.
Wait, no way.
There's the door right there.
Ain't no way.
Yep.
Just sprint.
How do we know if it's going off? It'll just.
I'll turn it on.
Charlie and Lou.
Oh! Did you just see that? The flashlight just went on. Hey!
We said their names.
That's sick.
If you want to talk to us tonight, can you turn that flashlight off?
Feels like good energy, doesn't it?
Oh, there we go.
Oh my god.
So this is Charlie?
I don't know.
Charlie, if this is you, can you just confirm by lighting up one of these flashlights, or you can go walk over there?
Give us an obvious sign if this is someone named Charlie.
It has to be Lou. It has to be Lou.
Lou Harwood, can you go up to this little blue flashlight on the table and tap it?
A miss.
All right.
We're in the lobby.
We were just about to cheers to them.
What if we try that again? Let's just do a little toast. Oh my god! Every time we talk about cheering.
So they
Oh, every time we talk about cheering. Like, even he almost didn't believe it. It's interesting watching it in the context of this video. Like, it's interesting going back and him making the points he's making, because Sam's comment almost didn't feel believable. It almost didn't. Like, he was expecting it, but like, it just was at an odd time, right, to turn on. That is interesting. I will say that. It's a kind of
asked if it was Charlie, then Lou,
It-
and then by the time they'd asked and waited for
And started
answers,
talking to each other.
the light has been just getting ready.
Yeah, and then they start talking to each other, and that's when the light goes on, and then they immediately jump on it like it's paranormal. That's an interesting point, man. I didn't see that the first time.
To turn on anywhere. That girl said, we were just about to cheers to them. And then Sam took that as a hit
Yeah.
and said, every time we talk about cheering. When I think that was the only time that was said, right?
I don't know what makes me so happy. I like it.
Oh my god, wait, what? That's insane.
What's the drink?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to the spirits. Oh my god, guys.
Oh, shit.
They're now just talking, and
Yeah,
because the flashlight is going
now
up,
they're just talking, and they're making it work for what they need, even though it had nothing to do with what their first questions were, anyways. Yeah. When you go back, this is interesting. We're in a time of the paranormal community where this is a very interesting thing to look back on, right? This is a very, like, you don't notice these things when watching the video. As a matter of fact, I used to watch, for a good portion of entertainment, and now I'm watching to kind of just see what are things that people are making points about. And look, honestly, they're making some decent points. I'm not sitting here saying that Sam and Colby fake. I'm not sitting here saying that Sam and Colby are horrible people. I'm not sitting here saying that. So if you want to take it that way, that's up to you. But you can't deny the interesting points that Mythos is making here. I'm sorry. I'm not a biased person. I'm not someone who's just going to say, because I'm a Sam and Colby fan, that Mythos is full of shit. No, I think these are interesting points. Now, are Sam and Colby going to answer some of these moments? Or, like, respond to some of these? Probably not. Because if they are, let's say, actually doing this stuff, why would they want to give credit or, put this out there for people to see? It would be pretty interesting, and it would be pretty bad on them. I'm not sure if they would ever want this to be acknowledged, but he's making some good points, honestly. Yeah.
off quite quick. They're taking that as it's answering them and actually engaging in their conversation. Like I said, the general rule is there's biggish gaps between, but sometimes it'll go on and off quick like that. I'm not gonna lie though. Oh shit. That made me laugh.
It feels
I think I laughed too.
Well, I'll sit.
You guys don't have to do the entire
You guys don't have to do it.
Do you guys hear the REM pod outside?
That's.
Oh shit.
Bro.
Watch this flashlight if you want us to take a shot.
Cheers!
Yeah, it's not, it doesn't even feel like it's paranormal anymore. It's like they just asked that to have fun in the situation. Like, why don't you light up again to, then we'll take a shot. And it lights up and they're like, oh yeah, start drinking. It doesn't feel paranormal. It just feels like a bunch of people kind of not even taking it seriously. That are just having fun at this point.
I don't know why we're doing this.
It's going off.
I don't know why we're doing
That's
this.
actually insane.
No way.
What kind of video is this?
I don't know, dude.
I don't
But
know
to
either.
me, It looks like you're trying to smash.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
No, I've never experienced anything like that before. I don't know, it makes me kind of happy. It's like kind of cool. There's like nice spirits. It feels very nice. It happens to be like turned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Why-
around it. We were literally standing, what, 10 feet away?
I don't understand.
I don't know if it's Lou or Charlie though.
And I truly think it's Lou.
You think it's Lou?
Oh, wait.
I do. It's just.
Wait, what made you think
weird,
that?
Because he's the alcoholic, and then we were cheersing to him, and it went off like right when
You can relate to
about
this.
it.
Dude,
Finish it.
what's crazy? I don't know if you guys got the same impression, but it was only when we kept talking about cheersing and taking a shot when it was on and off.
Maybe he just wants to party.
Are you happy, Lou?
Lou.
Are you happy? Because it feels happy here.
Lou, turn that flashlight on in 3, 2, 1. Lou, turn that flashlight on.
And then nothing happens.
Maybe you're pressuring him too much.
Oh, of course.
Miss, but it's getting about the time for the light to come back on again anyway.
What if he's just not happy?
Maybe are you sad, Lou?
Oh my god.
There we go.
So like
Maybe he was trying to. You know, it's hard to turn it on with my hands.
Lou, what I'm getting is
Yeah.
that maybe you're sad, but you're happy that we are all here. If that's true, can you turn off this little flashlight by tapping it?
Oh, flickering. That's crazy.
I am freaking out.
That is
Crazy.
wild. The way it flickers. I know. And we were like, just tap it, and it was like.
And like, why isn't that one going off at all? It's the same thing. And like, why isn't that one going off at all? It's the same thing.
Well, I did notice that Sam had hold of them. He was mainly holding on to the blue one. The pink one might just be a little bit cooler than the blue one, so that's why the timing will differ. Just like the little ones up in the corner, if you've been paying attention to those throughout this whole video. Well guys, I've made playlists
Wow.
on the channel for good and bad devices to use. These are going straight in the bad devices playlist. If you see anyone doing this technique now, just link them this video. Make sure you stick around guys and
Yeah,
subscribe.
because
Thank
look-
you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.
Look, here's the thing about this, man, is not everybody who uses the flashlight method are completely aware. Some people might be unaware that they are flawed this much. I personally always kind of felt like they were flawed. I personally never truly believed them. I was always skeptical about the flashlight method, and I'm insanely skeptical now. As a matter of fact, I just straight up don't buy them. I don't believe them. And he's right. Look, he was making it like, actually, he was explaining it in a good way. Like, this is a very good explanation of what the flashlight method and how you can use it as a paranormal investigator. If you might be somebody who's just wanting to kind of freak people out and get them in the zone of, you know, making a paranormal investigation. And I just thought of this too. It makes sense that they would get people who are not normally involved with paranormal investigations, because they would be easy to kind of make believe that all these devices work. Like, those girls believed the flashlight method was 100% because Sam and Colby were there explaining it to them in their way. So it makes sense that they would believe it, and they would be all freaked out and excited about it. Now that I think about it, it kind of makes sense now that they want to bring in so many people who are not used to doing paranormal investigations, right? So, yeah, it actually kind of adds up now. It would make for an entertaining video. We're going to go ahead and click on the next one, which is the Ouija board debunking.
How's it going? It is Mythos, and today's video might ruffle a few feathers because perhaps some of you have used one of these yourself. And you
Nope.
swear it was real, and everyone there promised it wasn't them moving the planchette, so it had to be spirits. Now just give me a minute to explain what's going on, and I'll show you an experiment that you can do yourself at home.
Ooh. Okay.
So first off, I just want to say that although I don't actually believe Ouija boards help us speak to the dead,
What?
and I will show you that in a minute, I do love them. I just think they're so cool. You can get some
They're
really
interesting.
awesome looking ones, and there's even people out there who collect them.
How many Ouija boards do you have?
In the house is a total of 48.
There's also a museum in Salem called the Salem Witchboard Museum. And I think it's an awesome place. Although I've not been, I would love to go check out all the cool and unique and funky
Oh my god.
designs.
That one with the hand looked like it was straight out of Talk to Me. That had to have almost been inspired by Talk to Me. That looks, yeah, it's pretty crazy looking. That is crazy looking.
unique and funky designs. Anyway guys, the Ouija board was first invented all the way back in 1886 and it was officially licensed to sell in 1891, but what we're going to do today to debunk the Ouija board is an experiment from 43 years earlier. If you want to just skip to that, you can go to this timestamp here. But if you want to find the origins of the experiment we're going to do, we need to take a trip back to when spiritualism really began. Now, I know quite a few of you have heard of the Fox sisters, as they've been mentioned a lot lately, but if you haven't, in 1848, two young girls, Margaretta and Kate Fox, claimed they were being haunted by a spirit that they called Mr. Splitfoot. I've got to hand it to them. That is a freaky ass name.
It is a freaky ass name.
Anything with Mr. in front of it just makes me go, ugh.
When I think of Splitfoot, I think of like a hoof, and you know the split between the hoof? That's what I think immediately, like a demon.
This spirit would apparently communicate with them in a numerous of mysterious ways, like moving furniture around the room, knocks on the floor and walls. And as the word spread of this apparent paranormal activity, the Fox sisters began to captivate the public and were the first spiritualists to perform for a public audience. They would perform something called table turning, where people would all stand around and place their hands on a circular table, only for it to start moving beneath them, seemingly acting of its own accord. Enter the scientists.
Yes, science!
They were quick to question this unexplained phenomenon, some thinking the movement of the tables to be electricity or magnetism. Due to his work in this area though, people reached out for the opinion of the renowned physicist Michael Faraday. In 1853, a whole 5 years after the Fox sisters started all of this, Faraday conducted his own experiments and concluded that this was a physical phenomenon, not some kind of supernatural one. The people at the table were unconsciously moving the table themselves by means of an ideomotor response. The ideomotor effect refers to the unconscious, involuntary motor movements that are performed by a person based on prior expectations, suggestions, or preconceptions.
That the Shadow Man series, it looks like that series pissed me off so bad. Like the way they kind of made Corey do the Ouija board, even knowing he was like 100% not wanting to do it. I thought that was such a shitty thing to do.
So, for an example, with the Ouija board, after the Exorcist movie came out, where Regan explains to her mother how she used the family's Ouija board to ask a question to Captain Howdy.
Captain who?
Captain Howdy.
The demon who eventually takes possession of a soul, the board's occult status was cemented. Since then, it's shown up in more than 20 films and now has the reputation of being something you do not mess with.
Yeah.
I've even watched recently videos of people going on investigations on YouTube, and the owner of the place will say, yep, they're happy to do whatever you want, use all of the equipment, but do not use a Ouija board. Speaking of investigations, actually, people who use it on investigations, they're first going on tours of supposed haunted houses and getting told stories about the paranormal before using it, so that's going to affect you psychologically when you play it.
I say this all the time. The power of suggestion to talk about something before you do something will make you automatically go straight to a darker place. Like, you're always thinking about the possibilities, what could happen in the situation. Like, I already know when I go to some haunted locations myself, and even as somebody who always has I go into these places with a grain of salt, even as somebody who does that, it might even get to the point where I get paranoid. And I'm automatically going to start throwing to the side a lot of the stuff that I might personally experience, like my own fear, like me maybe even being a little bit jumpy. I'll be like, guys, don't worry, I'm just jumpy. It has nothing to do with the paranormal. I'm just freaking out in the moment. It has nothing to do with being paranormal. So these are things that I really think a lot of people need to understand too, that once you have somebody talking to you and telling you something scary, you're going to have a hard time maybe even sleeping at night. So, like, you know, ghost stories around a campfire, right? We tell some really intense stories. We really get under our skins. We really get chilled out. I remember one time, me and my buddy Lane were telling each other ghost stories, and he told me the story of me, Ty Dowdy Walker, and it was a story from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark from back in the day, and I had never heard it. And he told me that story. I had a hard time sleeping. I couldn't sleep that night. And I started hearing things. Everything I heard, all of a sudden, I started to associate with paranormal. And it was later on in life that I actually found out that it was actually from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. But yeah, that it can happen. It's a 100% real thing. That's why I always say, like, as somebody who believes in the paranormal, not everything you experience is paranormal. Even if you might think it is, always remember that your mind can play tricks on you. Paranoia is a real thing, and it can be a powerful thing. So take it for what you will. And I do believe in the paranormal, 100%. But I'm also a believer in the power of suggestion. There's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of people take it like we're trying to ruin fun and, you know, ruin the fear and ruin the suspense and ruin the possibilities. No, it's just we're also trying to throw out the possibility of con artists, fakery, things like that, which are real too. So, yeah.
So, on to the experiment from Mr. Faraday. If you've got a Ouija board, that's cool, but if not, you can use some kind of card or paper and a little glass or something that can slide on a table. What we're going to do is place a number of cards on top of the planchette or on your glass and use the Ouija board as you would normally do. As the planchette moves, so will a layer of cards, but this is where we're able to see the cause of the movement. The movement of the cards will be different depending on where the force is coming from. If it's being moved by the spirits, then the layer of cards would drag along behind, sloping away from the direction of movement as they get pulled across the board. If the movement was coming from you yourself,
that's
then the top
interesting.
layer of cards would move first, sloping in front of the planchette as it gets pushed around. It's the layer of cards that would start off the movement. Faraday's experiment confirmed that the force was being applied by the people touching the moving object rather than a spirit. To add to this, if you're blindfolded while using the Ouija board, the spirits fail to communicate and the board doesn't seem to work anymore. Strange that, huh? Now, if you see anyone using one of these, just send them this link. I'm adding playlists to the channel for good devices and bad devices.
That's awesome,
so they're just
man.
easy to find. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Are you going to try this experiment?
I'll tell you right now,
yourself?
if I ever use a Ouija board, I'm going to do it that way. I promise you, I will use the card method to make sure that if it actually does work, and you'll know if it works, and if you see the cards, I'll shit my pants live. So that's awesome that you pointed that out. I didn't know that was a real method. That's a genius method, actually.
If you do, let me know what happens down below. If you still get possessed by a demon, I'm sorry to hear about that. But hopefully you're okay and I can see you in the next one.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, the next one we're going to be doing is the REM pod testing. Now, I actually almost bought a REM pod for my investigation at the Belair house, but we'll see what Mythos has to say. What sets one off? Okay, so this isn't really like a full-on debunking, but he's going to say what sets one off to make sure that you don't make this mistake if you ever use a REM pod, because it actually could have an effect on it. Okay, interesting. Let's go ahead and watch it, guys, and I'll give you guys my thoughts, of course, during and after the video.
How's it going? It is Mythos, and today we're checking out the REM pod. Now, I'm taking a look at devices on my channel to see how people are actually manipulating them, and also to see what are good devices to take out places myself. If I find a technique or device to be absolute rubbish, such as the torch technique, which I've showed is just a trick and it's an absolute fake technique, I will never take those
Absolutely,
out with
man.
me. Just before we get into this though, I want to give a shout out to who made this, because if you've looked into buying stuff like this before, you might have got a shock at the prices. It seems companies have just seen big YouTubers using certain things and bump up the prices.
Dude, the fucking REM pod is like $150. I know that a lot of people might not think that's a lot of money. It adds up. That's $150, man.
On those items, because people are going to want to use what those big YouTubers use as well. I actually got in touch with a few device companies and just didn't get good vibes, to be honest. I even got something from one of those places and it was absolute garbage, especially for the price. That's why I want to shout out these guys. They haven't asked me to. I genuinely just want to show you them. They're called PK Paranormal and they're an eBay shop. I got this REM pod off them and I thought it was awesome quality and very fairly priced. I also seen they had a music box, but I really liked how they made this REM pod. So I thought, do you know what? I'll ask them if they can make a music box the same. A very cool looking small box, and that way they will both match and keep my OCD happy. Plus, they'll
That is so relatable, man. Yeah, buddy. That's awesome. Did they actually do it?
both fit into my bag nice. They replied back with basically, yeah, no worries. I can
Awesome.
make that. And boom, here it is. It's awesome. And you can check out that and its testing in its own video. So PK Paranormal were very
I'll check 'em out.
good to deal with. Great communication. Awesome products at great prices. Especially if you're in the UK like me. But even if you're not, as I mentioned, people are charging a lot of money for this stuff. I bet you could get these shipped to you for still less than those places. So please go and check out PK Paranormal's eBay shop, which I will link below, and tell them I've sent you. So
I will.
let's check out the REM pod. We'll start off with the one that most people know, two-way radios or walkie-talkies. It's pretty much well known now that people have been using these to set them off, but I just like to see it for myself. So
Really?
I picked up these cheap ones to
I was actually sitting here thinking, me and my friend, I have a couple walkie-talkies. We were going to use them at the Belair house in case we ever needed to get a hold of each other. Okay, this could be interesting and knowledgeable to know.
give them a try. Okay, so let's give this a try. I've forgotten how to even turn these on.
Power on.
Oh.
2.
There you go.
Hey! It does work.
Get the
Now
fuck
let's
out.
see, can I
No way.
make it like seem like it's going around the REM pod, you know, like people do?
No effing way, man. That's crazy.
How funny is that? All right, so there we go. It does work.
Okay, now I want to know. I want to know right now. Can you go into another room of the house and still use it?
Been very suspicious of certain places and people, thinking that there's someone might be next door. I was thinking that someone might be in another room watching and listening through cameras and doing this to give relevant responses. So as you can see, I've made that little contraption there. I'm going to leave this here and just pretend there's someone investigating in this room. Okay guys, so I've got my camera and now I'm going to go into the next room to see how this works, and if it does I'm going to go downstairs to see if it sets off down there as well. Okay, so you keep an eye on this, just pretend that someone's in here doing an investigation and see what happens.
Alright.
Alright, so we're in here, now let's check this out, see if it works. I don't remember which button sets it off.
Oh! Wow, that goes a long way.
It does work. All right, see if we can whiz it around.
Oh, no, nothing. Oh, dude, get the... That's
Oh,
insanity.
you can.
Wow.
Oh, wow, okay. Right. So, kind of, you know, far-ish away now.
Okay, now he's actually going downstairs into the kitchen.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
See, I can't hear it, actually.
No, it's not going off.
I think that might be too far and too many layers of wall, I guess. I mean, unless it's going off. Let's just hold it.
No!
There we go. I can hear it. Right, stopped. So, go back all this way. No, I think this might be too far. There.
I was actually unaware that this was a real thing. He said that actually it's been talked about for a while, like a walkie-talkie can actually interfere with a REM pod. I was unaware of that. I didn't know that was... I'm actually really happy I watched this now to make sure that I don't pull this or, like, fuck up anywhere when I go into the building. Now I'm aware that the walkie-talkie actually can have an effect on the REM pod. So I guess when use of the REM pod, just don't have the walkie-talkies on. Like, keep them out of the house. Thank you. I actually appreciate this.
So I might just be, I'm like 3 rooms away and downstairs. That might just be too far, too many layers of walls, I guess. I don't know, because when I come like into the second room, then it kind of works. Let's just try again.
There it is.
This is crazy, dude. So people could literally be on the other side of the wall, listening into these people and just setting this off for relevant responses. Well, there you go. You can set it off quite far away and through walls and multiple walls. So like I said, people could be doing this from far away, say if they're watching someone in an investigation through cameras, and we know a bunch of places like that, don't we? But say if it's just someone doing this themselves and they have this radio on them, that click is pretty loud when you do it. So you'd probably hear someone doing that on camera. So how are people getting around that? I'm sure.
Well, if they're in
there may
other
be
rooms,
quieter buttons out there or something like that. But
yeah.
Check this out. Some of you may remember a while ago a guy who was a huge faker came out and just admitted it. He had a big falling out with people and actually dobbed them in, saying they taught him how to fake, and he showed us how they did it all. Now I can't find the video, but luckily for us, the shape reacted to it, and I highly recommend you check it out. So I'm going to leave that link below.
Okay.
What did he say about the fakers and REM pods? Well, apparently they will obviously be holding this radio out of the way so you can't see it and press the buttons as they talk to hide the sound of the click. So let's give that a try. Hey, if there's anybody out there, can you just let me know?
Oh my God! It actually worked. I didn't hear the click. That's fucking genius.
Wow, did you hear that go off? Oh my gosh, there's a ghost. I've heard that there's a guy here with a big top hat. If you're here, can you just let me know? Oh my God, he's here. He's doing a long grab. Can you let go? No, let go. Let go. I say let go. So when I see anyone with radios in their videos, I will automatically not trust their video, especially of course if REM pods are going off. And if you catch anyone's REM pods going off when they're talking, be suspicious. Maybe, you know, one off, fair enough. But if it's always going off when they're saying...
Wow, you just saved me. You just saved me. Because I was going to go into a paranormal investigation with walkie-talkies we have downstairs. Now that I know that it actually does have an effect on the REM pods, I need to let my friend know about this, because me and her were talking about it, and we're, you know, she's probably going to be the person to go with me. And she brought up walkie-talkies. I was like, yeah, walkie-talkies, we got to have them. I guess we're going to stick to cell phones. Because that... Holy shit, man.
I guess they were doing that. Okay, so one device I heard people use to set it off is an Apple Watch. Now, I don't actually have one, but last week I've managed to source one. This is my girlfriend's sister's, which she's lending me. While she's here and lending me this, we're going to do the test to see if ringing this will set off the REM pod. So I'm going to position this behind me there, and all of those lights are on, so I'm going to even turn them off just in case they affect it. Okay, so the REM pod is there, so let's give this thing a call and see if it sets it off.
Okay. Nothing yet.
Oh, well that didn't work, did it? I thought it was going to start beeping behind me. Okay, I'm just going to try again.
It could be certain watches. Right? Maybe?
It's not working, is it?
Nah.
REM pod. Nah. I can't remember where I've seen someone say this works, but I'm sure I've seen people say that that's what's setting it off. I really thought that was going to work. Definitely on, right?
Yep, it's on.
It's definitely on. Well, I don't know then. I mean, do I go closer? Let's bring the REM pod over here. Right, there's the REM pod, as you can see.
Yep.
Let's try again. Do you maybe just have to be quite close to it to work? I'm right next to it and it's not working. What does that mean? The fakers aren't using Apple Watches to set them off?
Walkie-talkies is good enough, man. Walkie-talkies, I feel like, are so easy to hide, too. You could literally have someone on set of your paranormal investigation crews that nobody knows about, always having the equipment to use to set the stuff off when need be, and just running around the building setting it off when you need it to go ahead and set off. Easily. That was never something I would have considered. I never knew about the walkie-talkie thing.
Really thought that was going to work from across the room there, so... Who knows? Maybe that theory is just busted. Just one more try before I give this back, because like I said, it's not mine. Nope. That is not working. Oh well, not that I have one of them, but if I did, I wouldn't mind now taking it on an investigation, because I don't think it is actually affecting the REM pod. Oh well, it was worth a shot. Alright, so I'm trying to think of any other things that you might have on you while you're in an investigation. Obviously your camera. Let's turn it on and see if that affects it. Doesn't seem to do anything there.
That's good.
The light, what you're going to have on your camera, does that affect it? The infrared that you're going to have on your camera when you're in night vision mode, does that affect it somehow?
No, but
It is on. I was just checking.
Okay, it scared me.
Random things like this sends out a beam, a remote control. Nothing there. Okay, well, I now know not to take radios out with me. And as I say, I don't have an Apple Watch, but if I did, I probably wouldn't mind having one on me now. If it goes off though, does that mean it's paranormal? Well, I wouldn't jump straight to that.
No.
You need to see what other things are around the area that could...
You know, always keep in mind, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Now, if it's consistent with what you're asking and you know for a fact there's nothing around that could affect it, maybe, you know, take it into consideration. But you should always have that mindset to where you gotta take a step back and just look at the paranormal investigation, even if you're doing it, and maybe even if you're catching some really great evidence. You know, you always got to keep in mind too that there could be that possibility it might not be nothing, unfortunately. But that's kind of the fun part and exciting part about paranormal investigations, is we're out there trying to figure it out, right? I mean, that's fun.
Possibly be emitting EMF to set it off. You can't take just one beep as a direct answer to your question and call it proof of the paranormal.
No.
What I'd look for is well-timed answers, and in an ideal world, constant back and forth questions and relevant beeps in response. So thanks for watching today. Hopefully that helped you either figure out what to do and what not to do, or how to keep a better eye on people using these in their videos. I actually really like REM pods, and I'm definitely going to be taking this out with me. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.
Awesome video, man. Awesome. I loved it. Yeah, you helped me out a lot, because I was actually going to be using those things in my investigation. Now I know not to use the walkie-talkies. Great stuff. Love it. Love it. Thank you. We're going to do the ghost music box. Another thing I wanted to get. So let's go ahead and try it.
How's it going? It is Mythos, and today we're checking out the music box. I'm going over devices on my channel to see how people are possibly manipulating them, and to know how to best use them myself, and what things to avoid using around them which might set them off. I got this from PK Paranormal, which I'll link below, and I also got this REM pod off them, and if you've not seen that video on this, I'll link that below as well. So first thing I want to know about the music box is what kind of distance and shape is it measuring? I don't think it's just going to be a straight pointing forward kind of thing, is it? So let's go and check it out.
All right, man. Let's do it.
Alright guys, so I'm outside now where I've got more space. So let's stick this down on the floor, let it calibrate, and then I can mark out what it's actually looking at and what the distance of it is.
Are you setting like distances?
Okay, so as you can see from this top-down view, it's definitely not just facing straight forward, and I'm actually shocked at how far it sees, and especially how far it comes out to the sides. Now that I've marked the distance of the music box, let's give this a measure. Just because it's a bit tough to see, this is the music box here, and here are the markers. Now, as I was doing this, I was thinking it was going to look something like this, but I think these top corner bits are actually just a little bit too far. So it seems as if it's this kind of shape that it's sensing. The furthest distance distance it could pick up was 6 meters, and to the sides it was around 5.5 meters-ish. I'm quite shocked at how far it actually sees. So now we do know what kind of area it covers, I can get a better idea of what it'll pick up when I'm out investigating. With it actually being able to see quite far, I guess you'll have to be really careful using them out on investigation.
And I'll tell you right now, most of the time when I see investigators using them, if they're not standing behind them, but they're off at least at a good distance, now I know that maybe it might be still picking them up. See, things you just wouldn't think of, things you would not know, unless the science was brought into it, which I appreciate, the science of it.
Because they might accidentally pick you up even if you think you're out of the way. So what I'm also wondering is if people are manipulating these to fake evidence. I've heard people say that it's not just physical motion that can set them off, but light and shadows.
Dust, maybe.
So let's test that out. Okay, so
yeah, don't move.
that wasn't me, was it? Okay. So there it is. Now let's see if light and shadow can set it off. So get the old torch out.
Okay, nothing yet.
Will my shadow work? It doesn't seem to be set.
You know what I would love for you to do, and I know you have that music box, I would love for you to buy every music box you can and try to test them out differently, because the sensors on some of them might be even more trigger happy than even some that you might have, the one that you might have.
And it off, does it? Down on the door there?
No.
Oh, okay, so I'm not sure about that then. I tried light and shadow. So I was thinking, if light and shadow can set it off, is there anything else that could maybe set it off, like a laser pen or something? Because I seen a known faker with one of these green laser pens out while filming an episode, and I thought, why has he got that? What's the point? Why would you have that on you? So I was thinking, is that something that could be setting something off? So then I had a YouTube and I seen you can actually get filters that block out the green light. So I was thinking, wow, is someone doing this on camera but then blocking out the light? So let's test this out on the music box to see if it sets it off.
That's a...
Oh.
Nope.
Well, that didn't work as well, did it? So,
well, at least we know now.
These off. What about our trusty TV remote? Walkie-talkies? The same as the REM pod video?
That'd be nuts.
Shot.
No.
No. It might just be physical motion then. What about trying to call? What about car key fob, like a lot of you suggested for the REM pod?
No.
It's not working, is it? Nothing seems to actually set it off. Well, guys, I don't know. Is this genuinely just set off by motion? I mean, maybe people actually have someone off camera that do set it off, because as we found out at the start, it shoots out quite far. 6 meters. There could easily be someone off camera just pops in frame for a second just to set it off. I don't know, guys. I've always liked the idea of music boxes, and I'll definitely be taking this out with me.
Yep, me too.
Will I claim it's paranormal activity if it goes off, though? I'm not sure about that. But
depends.
With me struggling to set it off myself, I'll probably shit my pants a little bit more than I usually would. If
yeah, man, I love it. I love it. Okay, REM pod, you know, you have to be careful what you bring, but this one, so far, it seems pretty trustworthy, though I do think you should get more of the brands of the music box and try those out, see what happens. Maybe certain ones can go off a little bit easier than this one. That's a pretty good music box right there. I'll be getting that one. If it's that hard to set off, that's the one I'm going to be getting.
Any ideas on how people might be setting them off, let me know down below, because a lot of you had ideas on how to set the REM pod off, so I could do a part 2 on both of these in one video. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hell yeah, man. Awesome. Okay, so that was pretty informative. I really appreciate that, man. That was you're helping me out a lot with my paranormal investigation. I'm definitely gonna check out the group that you bought those equipment from, 100%. So I'll go ahead and leave the link to their eBay store down below too. So if anybody else wants to go check them out, they absolutely can. But thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot, and I do like the science of it. I know, again, a lot of people really get butthurt over this stuff, and they don't like the concept that people are just kind of taking away the mystery of it. But at the same time, it's important that you do take away the mystery of it sometimes, especially if it can be faked. And in my opinion, we just have too much of that going on now. And maybe even to the paranormal investigators who became very successful from using this stuff, maybe they'll watch something like this and be like, oh, we had no idea about that. Because that could be a possibility too. Again, not everybody who uses this stuff is probably even faking, but they might not be aware of how easy this stuff is able to set off. And then when your reactions come out because you're unaware of it, now you make it sound like it's paranormal when in reality it might not even be that. So let me know in the comment section, guys, what did you think of this? Which one of them was most informative in your opinion? And please go support the original videos. Mythos is a badass, man. So until next time, guys, please do take care.
If you caught a can't stay, can't through, you won't be meant dead.